Is he really masculine, or is he wearing a masculinity costume? There's a lot of confusion today about what a masculine man is, because so many men today are wearing what I will call a masculinity costume. They appear masculine on the surface, but underneath they're actually quite energetically feminine, and they are nowhere close to masculine embodiment. An example of how this might manifest is the typical macho guy, right? He's really tough, he's really strong, he's really sure of himself, supposedly, at least on the surface. But what's really going on is he's created a masculine costume for himself. He is not embodied. He has adopted this role. He has adopted these masculine traits over top of who he really is, so that he can gain the acceptance, gain the love that he probably didn't get in childhood. And so the man who wears the masculinity costume is actually an approval seeker. He has created this costume, typically very unconsciously, to gain the approval of his peers, to gain the approval of women, to gain the approval of society, and also to avoid the disapproval of his peers, of women, of society. And we often think of approval seekers as, really needy and clingy and obvious and maybe very overt bragging, but it doesn't have to be that way. Actually, the best, most successful approval seekers are going to do it on a much more subtle level, where it's much less obvious to people, right? And that helps them get away with their costume. But it's never possible to keep wearing that costume forever. And eventually that costume is going to come off at some point in the dating phase or in a relationship. You just can't sustain it. And how is it going to come off? How is a woman going to know that she's not actually dating an embodied masculine man? Here is the number one clue. He is going to start to exhibit signs of wanting to receive from his woman. Receiving compliments, receiving physical affection, receiving leadership, receiving support. Truly masculine men are not interested in receiving from a woman in that way. A man's need is to give to his woman. It's to have his gifts, his support, his affection, his compliments, his leadership received. He does not want to be led by a woman. He doesn't want to be supported by a woman. He doesn't want to receive a woman's gifts of affection, compliments, whatever else. If a supposedly masculine man is interested in receiving from a woman in this way, he is not embodied.